Hey, can you hear me okay, guys? How's the sound? Give me one over in the chat if you can hear all right. Okay. We get our mouse. Oh, sorry. Just realized I forgot to put the mouse highlighter up there. There we go. Good. Much better. All right, so glad you guys are all here. Sorry, a little bit of a late start. That some of that's my fault and some of it's YouTube's. We'll split it maybe 2/3 me, 1/3 on them. We had an elder meeting that ran a lot later than I had planned, so my mistake on that. I had not planned well, so that kind of pushed everything back a little bit. I thought, well, usually we have the countdown, so it's okay if it's 35 after the hour, but here we are at 40 after the hour, so I apologize. Glad you can hear okay. All right. So shalom to, let's see who's here. Gary, Betty, Brenda, Tet, Betty Tipping, Pay. Gary's retiring today. Jeff, Corey, God bless. Welcome, Achi. See. Tet, did I say you already? Harrison. Michael Burke. Kenneth. Tina. Welcome, Tina. Glad you're here live with us. Brenda. Is the volume low? You're saying the volume's a little low? I can pump it up a bit. Hopefully it won't affect the sound. Let's see. I mean, it won't make it raspy or something. Shalom, shalom. How about that? Is that better? Hopefully the audio is better now. Let me know, okay? Jeff says, I was at the Kotel last April. Wish I could go this year, but travel too much. Oh, what an amazing experience. Yeah, I miss the Kotel. Mm. Harrison with his up in here. All right, let's say a quick prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, Todah Lecha, ki anachnu יכולים ללמוד את דבריך. כן יהי רצון כי לקחנו יחיה טוב בעיניך. תעזר נא, אדוני, את כל תלמידיי ללמוד טוב. תיתן נא להם את זיכרונים טובים. לזכות ישוע המשיח אנחנו מאמינים. All right, so here we go. 1 Kings, chapter 15, 21. Go, 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 go. Hope everything looks okay here. I'm experimenting with a new setup, a little bit improved over last night. We'll see. Vayhi kishmoa Bashah, vayechdal mibnot et haRamah, vayeshev beth Tirtzah. And there's an A here. Let me see how it's. Nope, okay. So the textual apparatus is saying probably vayeshev Tirtzah. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Vayhi. So yehi, it's from haya. It means he or it is, or he or it will be. Well, we have a vav conversive. So vayhi, and it was. Let me do a quick time check to make sure I don't. Okay. And it was kishmoa, as shemoa is an infinitive from shema, to hear or obey. So it was as shemoa. Literally, this is an infinitive construct. See, it's marked with a construct. So as hearing of, and then this is a name in the gray. If you're looking, if you're just listening, sorry, you can't see the gray. Bashah. So it was as Bashah heard, or when Bashah heard, is what it's saying. Vayechdal. Vayechdal. So the verb is chadal. Chet, dalet, lamed, which is to stop or to cease. And don't get confused. It's not a PL. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. This is directed Hebrew immersion, which means you don't have to understand everything. Sometimes you might get one word. Okay? Sometimes you didn't even read it right. That's fine. The point is to do this over Make it a regular part of your life, getting in the Word, in the Hebrew, reading through it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just holding your hand, going through the Hebrew Bible, right? We have a couple completed books already here in different playlists that you can go through. And in the next quarter or so, we will be finishing up First Kings and Exodus, so those books will also be completed. And what a great time! Passover's coming, and after Passover, the ancient triennial Torah portion cycle restarts. So we will be back in Genesis. For those of you who aren't aware, we go through the readings of the eight that are more ancient than the current yearly reading cycle. Nothing wrong with the yearly cycle. Good to do that also if you can, for the sake of Kalal Yisrael. But the more ancient reading, which is also marked in the Masorah. It's also in the markings are there in the Leningrad Codex and in well what we have from the Aleppo Codex, what survived, and those things. So it actually marks this older cycle. Instead of reading through the whole Torah one time in a year, it took about 3.5 years, and it would start on a Shemitah cycle, right? So there's the Shemitah year, the so-called sabbatical year, and then you would read for 3.5 years. That's what we've been doing. And then it ends at Pesach, at Passover. And guess what? We will do the last reading. I checked it out. The timing works. The last reading is going to be right before Erev Pesach. How cool is that? We finish the Torah portion and then it's Passover. And it's my belief. I know we have people from different faiths here. We have Orthodox Jews, we have Christian Baptists and Pentecostals, and we have Messianic Jews, and we have Bnei Israel, and we have Hebrew roots. Everybody's welcome here on this channel for studying biblical Hebrew. That's fine as long as you love the God of Israel, no problem, right? The God of the Hebrews, I almost said, which is also true. Um, but our perspective is our congregation here at Simchat Hashem. We believe in the Torah. We believe that the ethos of Judaism is correct, and we believe that the most perfect application of that is the belief in Mashiach, Yeshua, who. And for us, it's just amazing because we know that it's commonly believed that his ministry lasted 3 years, and that would have been just enough time to go through the ancient triennial reading with his disciples. And guess when he stopped teaching them things? Pesach, right? Because that's when he was executed. So I think even in his life and his ministry, he demonstrated how important Torah is by going on this slower cycle, which really makes you dig in and enjoy. So if you want to see what we do with that, I don't have all my teachings up for the triennial. There's some of the Genesis stuff that I didn't get edited enough that I don't like it to where it is, but most of the Genesis, a lot of the Genesis is up, but we're going to do it again soon anyway. And a lot of it's here on this channel. I made it available. You can see it's what we do on Saturdays. All right. Better volume. Good. Okay. Good. 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 Oh yeah. So I wonder. I love the conversation in the chat about all of us living in a community together. That would be so wonderful. We have our own eruv. It'd be so great. And it's a boundary, so you can actually carry things on the Sabbath day, carry heavy things outside your house. So here we go. And it was when Bashah heard vayechdal, that ceased, that he stopped mibnot from the daughters at haRamah, that were like at haRamah. He left off from them. He left them alone. It's min benot, which is mibnot, from the daughters. It's the it's kind of strange that we have a construct here, but this is just the author's style. We've seen some other strange things in First Kings, how the prophet writes things. Vayeshev, and he yashaved, that's sit or dwell. He sat or dwelled at Tirtzah, at this place called Tirtzah. Pei's excited about the coming Pesach. Me too. It's my favorite holiday. I love Passover. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so amazing. Because my favorite book from my youth up has always been Exodus. I mean, since then I've kind of transitioned a bit to the Psalms. I really love the Psalms in Hebrew. Because when you read Psalms in English, it's only like I don't know. You're getting 10% of the feeling of the Hebrew, right? But Psalms are just, you can study them forever. I mean, there were times in my life when I was preparing to be a rabbi that I would be in the Psalms sometimes 12 hours a day, studying the Hebrew Psalms, wanting to go deeper, really, real what's it saying in Aramaic, and can we understand this word? What if we look at the Ugaritic? Just really, I had that thirst to know exactly what it is you're praying when you pray the Psalms. And I encourage you all, if any of you are having a creative hiccup in your life, like you're not able to come up with new ideas if your work requires that, or even just in your personal life, or you just need some new energy, read the Psalms in Hebrew. You should do the weekly cycle where you read it, all of them in the Hebrew, in 1 week. And you do it again. You do it again. I tell you what, in this time period of my life, I recorded it's well over 150 musical seed ideas, right, for songs and stuff, for compositions. You could it's like you're feeding off David hamelekh and some of the others who poured into this wonderful composition. So anyway, so Exodus, the miracles, all that stuff coming up. Get ready. Make sure you're getting your matzah already, so it's not hard, especially those of us who live in other countries. All right, verse 22. Ve'hamelekh asa hishmi'a et kol Yehudah ein Naki vayiseu et avnei haRamah ve'et eitzeiha. Pardon me, eitzeiha asher bana Bashah vayiven bam hamelekh asa et Geva and Binyamin ve'et haMitzpah. Sorry, I'm blocking the last couple words there. I will, when we get to them in detail, I'll move my camera. Maybe I can shrink down a little bit now already. Let's see. There we go. Much more humble. hamelekh. Now the king, asa. There's special emphasis here. Why? It's the subject first. Usually a verb followed by the subject. I like Isaiah Pay, but Psalms are really my favorite these days. For a long time now, Psalms have been my favorite. But I love Exodus too. A lot of fun in Exodus. hamelekh. Now the king asa, and then here's the verb, right? It should have come after the verb because it's first, it's emphasizing. Now the king asa hishmiya. Hishmiya. So the root is shama. Shin, mem, ayin, right? But this is a hifil form. So he sent a proclamation, is what it's saying. Literally, he made heard. Right? He made heard. He sent a proclamation. He made heard. Has aufbieten. Ich weiß, dass viele jetzt studiert dem deutsche Sprache. Wenn du studiert Deutsch, dann das ist die Übersetzung. So, Hishmiya et kol Yehudah, or Yehudah, how it probably was said in ancient times. So, the king Asa himself is how I would translate that special emphasis. Hishmiya, he proclaimed to all of Judah, Ein Naki. Now, this is very interesting, this Ein Naki. Ein, Aleph Yod Nun, means without. Naki, Nun Kuf Yod. What does Nun Kuf Yod mean? Naki usually means like clean, clean. Like, but it's used in many different kinds of idioms. Like if you say that someone is clean-teethed in Hebrew, it means he's starving, right? Or he's like very, very hungry, very thin. There's no food on the teeth. He's clean teeth, you see? So in this case, ein Naki, this means without exception. It's an idiom, without exception, right? Oh, I have a note here, I think. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. So here's my Bible note. With no exemptions. Hebrew Naki, usually clean or innocent, here refers to a person's being freed from state obligations. It's used in this way in the Torah, in Devarim 24, verse 5. The semantic equivalent in Akkadian, Zaku, to be free, is the common blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you also get it from Akkadian. And I didn't cite the source there. Sorry. Oh, well. Some mystery scholar I learned that from whenever I did this note some years ago. So, ein Naki, vayeshev. By the way, I always try to give credit. You should always give credit when you can to if you learn something from a certain teacher, whether it be from a book or a YouTube video or whatever. Especially, I'm speaking to you teachers out there, you Bible teachers. A lot of people don't do this. And what it is, it's the yetzer hara. It's our ego. The ego wants the credit, even though it's not your idea or not my idea, right? So when you learn something from somebody from another channel or from an author or another teacher, give the credit. And in so doing, you will be minimizing that aspect of your yetzer hara, that part of the temptation for your ego to grow. It's a little bit of ego death that you can cause for yourself there. So I feel bad I didn't have. I always try to give reference. I didn't plan on sharing that exact quote. I was curious just what my note was. What's the note there? I would have looked it up for you. But anyway, you should always do that. I cannot tell you the number of times somebody sent me a link. Oh, check out this channel, and I went and I watched some videos somebody sent me to, and someone's using my exact same humor and the exact same topic. And it's just like some unique idea that I never heard before anywhere else before. I'm just like, oh man, couldn't you at least say you saw that in Hebrew literacy? You had to pretend you made it up yourself. Oh, so don't do that. Don't do that. It doesn't feel good when it happens to you. And also, don't be a quote lifter. If you're putting together a study and you find that a certain scholar says, "Oh, this is found over in, I don't know, Kiddushin, whatever." He gives you a Talmudic reference, and then you just lift the reference. I know people do this. You just lift the reference as if you found it in the Talmud yourself, right? Oh, it's Kiddushin, but you should always say, T-Guy told me it was over there. It's okay if you go and look it up yourself, but give the credit for the guy who actually dug around in the text. That's a lot of work. This is very important Yiddishkeit that I'm sharing with you. Yiddishkeit doesn't mean knowledge of Yiddish. Yiddishkeit means like the Jewish ethos. It's like derech eretz, kind of like what's acceptable behavior. It's really frowned upon to not give credit. I'm sorry, I'm going off on some tangents here, but I kind of feel a little bit more relaxed today. There's there's one time there's a there's a very there's a story, a legend, a Jewish legend about this old man who was very poor, and he's traveling around the Ukraine, the birthplace of Hasidism, by the way, Ukraine. So lots of Jews have made Ukraine their home, and even Odessa was used. It was called in Soviet times the second Haifa. Did you know that? Because so many Jews in Odessa, and they have kind of. I've been to Odessa many times. They have many. There's like a kind of a dialect that some of the older people will say. Even the non-Jews, like they'll use Yiddish words and stuff. It's kind of amazing. And it also was the capital of comedy for the Soviet Union was Odessa because all the Jews are there, right? So, but anyway, this old guy, he's traveling around Ukraine, and he comes to the synagogue before Shabbat, and they put him up at someone's house. It's always an honor to greet a Jewish traveler before Shabbat and for them to allow you to be their host. And they take him in, and his shoes are tattered. He just really in rough shape. And in those days, among the Ashkenazim, among German Jews, European Jews, whatever, the white Jews, if you will, um, we have this tradition where the person who is a guest at the synagogue, he gives a little Dvar Torah, right? So it used to be this way. So the rabbi asks him if he'd like to share on the Torah portion. So he gets up and he shares, and it's just an amazing drash. Amazing. Knocks everyone's socks off. And they're all amazed, but the rabbi's just kind of frowning, right? Okay. So then he's there the next Shabbat, and again they give him a would you like to do it again? And he does another one. The Kahal is amazed at the wisdom of this guy, just so really amazing. This isn't a joke, this is actually a legend, okay? And the rabbi's irritated. Third Shabbat happens again. Everybody loves it. Brilliant, deep stuff. He doesn't even have any notes. And at Motzi Shabbos, the rabbi takes him and has a talk with him. He says, "Can you come to my office?" So he comes to his office, and what a nice library the Rav has. And he says, "You had wonderful drashot, wonderful sermons. They really were great. All three Shabbats." And the guy says, "Oh, thank you very much, Baruch Hashem." And he says, "The only problem is I've read them before." And he pulls a book off his shelf and he puts it on the table. This nice leather-bound, beautiful volume, authored by the Chofetz Chaim, right? And the the ragtag visitor. I realize I'm so small as I'm telling the story. Sorry, guys. Oops. The ragtag visitor. He says, "Oh, if only I should look as well as my book." So, he was a Chofetz Chaim. He just was very humble, and that was his book. Because the rabbi was upset that he wasn't saying where he got the information from. You understand? He wasn't giving credit. I heard this sermon from another rabbi. I learned this from that rabbi. I learned this from that one. I saw this one on that YouTube channel. Instead, it's all me, 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 me. That's what the rabbi thought, which is like akin to stealing. And so he's like, I read it all here. Why didn't you give credit? Well, he's the author. You don't have to give credit when you're the author. Anyway. All right, we'll continue. You guys still with me? Vayiseu, and they carried et avnei haRamah, stones of haRamah, of like of this place that's called the high place, the high place, the high. It's actually called the high. They carried stones of the high, haRamah. Ve'et, and eitzeiha, and the wood or the trees of her, and her trees, her wood. Asher bana Bashah. So here we have asher and we have a verb. A lot of times when you have asher or some other noun in Hebrew syntax before the verb, biblical Hebrew syntax, before the verb, this is the same function as if you put a bait in front of it, meaning with that thing. The verb is accomplished with that thing. So that's what's happening here. So with which, instead of just translating which, you could say with which, bana Bashah. Bashah had built. Vayiven and banad, bam, with them. See, here we have the bait. See? We didn't need it over here with the asher. We didn't have to say ba asher because it's in front of the verb. If you want to know the technical term, grammatically, this is called the accusative of means, or you could call it instrumental usage if you, for you grammar nuts out there, can search for any of that stuff. Kenneth liked the stories. Okay, good. Yofi. Yeah, that's the Chofetz Chaim. Many beautiful teachings from the Chofetz Chaim. What a lovely human being. So humble that most of us don't even know his name. I don't even know his name offhand. I have to look it up. He gave himself this kind of pseudonym so no one would know, so he wouldn't get the glory, you see? And he walks around so poor and tattered. And just, what a amazing Rav. So, vayiven bam hamelekh. So, here's the subject. Hamelekh asa. He built bam with them. But the order, if you're just listening, is vayiven, and he built with them. Hamelekh asa, the king Asa. Now, this is something else that you guys might be getting used to seeing. Maybe I'll just spell it out in case you're not used to this pattern. So just like we have verb followed by subject, if you have a very small word, especially if there is if it's a preposition, a very small word, just one or two syllables, oftentimes you got verb, you got, I don't know, I'll do a Russian S. It's a C. You got a subject. It will snake in between those two. And that's what happened here. So look, vayiven, there's the verb, and the subject way over here, hamelekh asa. But bam, it jumps in right in the middle. It doesn't have to, doesn't always do it, but this is just kind of a standard biblical Hebrew style. So you'll see that a lot. So don't get confused. Here's the verb. What, bam? Is that like a name? Is that the no? So it's bait and with them. Hamelekh asa, the king Asa. Et Geva. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll scroll up a bit. Then we don't have to play the whole move the camera around it. Okay. Et Geva Binyamin. Geva Binyamin. This is a place. That's why I have it in gray. It's just a name. Geva Binyamin. Ve'et, and also haMitzpah, another place name. Mitzpah or Mizpah, often translated. How you guys doing? Did you get everything all right? All right. Let me do a quick time check. Oops. Okay, we can do, maybe we'll do one more. Okay, to do one more. Let's read this one again. You try to get it. Ve'hamelekh asa. Now the melech, the king, maybe we put up here topic indexers. Could you make a video note at this time code? Put it above the index for vocabulary word melech. I'll find the video. Don't worry about that. So if you're watching this later, there should be a little informational thing that gives you my little 60-second lesson on this word. Ve'hamelech asa. Now the king Asa himself, I'm going to say, because it's coming before the verb, subject before verb, there's emphasis. Hishmiya. Literally, he made shamad, he made heard. So I would translate, he proclaimed, et kol Yehudah. To all of Judah, we usually would expect lekol instead of et kol. Again, this is just the scribe style. Ein Naki, without exception. Literally, there are none who are clean, like clean from hearing it. Vayis. So this is from the verb nasa, noon, seen aleph, and the noon has disappeared. And they carried, or that they should carry, et avnei haRamah, the stones of haRamah, of this place called the High. Ve'et and eitzeiha, her wood, asher, with which Bana Bashah had built, vayiven, bam, hamelekh asa. And Yuvan, he would build, bam, he built with them, hamelekh asa, the king Asa. What did he build? Et Geva, Binyamin, ve'et, and haMitzpah. How you guys doing? Let's see. Betty's asking. Oh, verse 21. Let me look. Let's see. Yeah, you're right, Betty. Thank you for correcting me on that. I mistranslated their homographs. It looks exactly the same as from daughters, but it actually is building. Thank you for that, Betty. It's an infinitive construct of the verb bana. Bana, you're right. Just like ra'ah, to see, lirot. Ra'ah, he saw, lirot, to see. So yeah, it looks exactly the same as from daughters of. But you're right. Thank you for that, Betty. Good correction. Good catch. From building of. Pointed the same vowels, same consonants. And I translated it the other way. But you're right. The context in 22 makes it have to be building. Wonderful catch. Good job. Good job. My bad. Yay. Yofi, yofi. All right. And then 23, we'll finish with 23. Oh, wow. 23 is kind of long. Yeah, we started a bit late. Let's do it. All right. But maybe I won't repeat it so many times, okay? Veyeter kol divrei asa vechol gevurato vechol asher עשה והערים אשר בנה הלא המה כתובים על ספר דברי הימים. למלכי יהודה רק לעת זקנתו חלה את רגליו. All right. Now, piece by piece. Uh-oh. Hold on, my recording program has gone off screen. There we go. Okay. Yeah, good job, Betty. Really, everybody give her a hand. That's a good catch. Yeah, my translation was plausible, but not till we got to the other verses. She's got a good eye. Veyeter, yeter is the remnant, like what's left over. This is one of Moses' fathers-in-law's name, Yithro, right? It's not his leftover though. Yeter can also mean like the best, right? And that's what it means in this case. Veyeter, and the remainder, or the rest of kol divrei Asa, of all of the things done by Asa, literally all of the things of Asa, all of the affairs of Asa, vechol gevurato, and all of his greatness, vechol asher, and all which Asa, he did, ve'arim, and the cities, asher, which bana, he built, halohema, the hey here, it's a question mark. It's like the upside down question mark you see in Espanol. So it's asking a question. Are not hema, they, this word you might have learned it as haim if you did modern Hebrew. It's also in the Bible as haim, but we also, biblical Hebrew, we also have hema. Hema, hema, da 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 da. Sorry. Hema, halo, hema, are not they chetuvim? So you guys know this word. You know this word. It's what we will be studying tomorrow. The Chetuvim, the writings. There's the Torah, there's the Nevi'im, and there's the Chetuvim, the writings. Katav, to write. Katuv is a passive participle, to be written. Right? So you'll see this sometimes in Scripture. You know, Halo ze katuv b'sefer Yeshayahu Hanavi. Is it not written in the scroll of Isaiah? Or you'll see this sometimes in the Talmudic discussions as well too, right? It's written over there, isn't it written there? Usually, if a lower guy is talking to a tough, like a tougher rabbi, he'll frame it as a question. So, halo hema, are not the chetuvim written? Al ayin lamed, upon sefer divrei hayamim. We have a big construct chain there. So, because the last word ha yamim is the days, we can translate the sefer, the scroll of the divrei, of the occurrences, the happenings, the things, the affairs of hayamim, the days, which we usually translate that as Chronicles, the book of Chronicles into English. That's the Sefer Divrei Hayamim. Le Malchei, belonging to or concerning or of Malchei. That's the construct plural from Melachim, kings of Yehudah. Rak, just le'ait, for the eit, ayin tav, like literally that means for the time of ziknato, of the zekonah is the old age of him, his old age. Chala, he became sick at raglav, his feet. And I have a note here. Let me see what my note is. Oh, never mind. It's supposed to be a picture. It didn't show up. What about over here? So I have this note. I don't know what it is. Talmudic sages in Sanhedrin 48b discussed the nature of the disease and identified it as podagra, gout of the feet. So in case you're wondering, the Talmud clears up for us what was the sickness of his feet. It was from Talmudic tractate Sanhedrin 48b. When you see A and B, the pages are big in the Talmud, right? A just means the first side of the page, B means the back side. There is no C. Okay, so that's what that means. Although modern references will even give you paragraphs. Very nice for finding stuff. Although it's a little bit sad in a way. Like, you used to have to always just, if you're reading an article and they reference the Talmud and they say whatever page, blah, blah, and they give you the backside, you got to read the whole page to find what they're talking about, which is actually kind of cool because often you stumble on some gem, right, that you weren't expecting. You want to verify the reference before you share it or see if you understand it better. Maybe there's something in the Hebrew or whatever, or the Aramaic if it's Gemara, and then but then you find something really cool before that or afterward. So I think sometimes Hashem uses that for us to learn something else from these wonderful sages. But now the referencing people, they'll say like 48b 3.3, which means the third paragraph, right? So it's like very quick, you find exactly what you need and you're out of there, which is nice, but it's also kind of sad. By the way, if you have misgivings about the Talmud, if you think it's some evil document written by the Jews, then please watch my short video. It's going to be up here later. Index referencers. You can just make the time code. I'll find the video. And where I just give like a little 19-minute or 15-minute, just kind of off the cuff talk about the Talmud, dispelling all the crazy nonsense that it's evil or something like this. Really beautiful document, wonderful for learning. Not document, it's a collection of works is basically what it is. So I won't go into it here, but if you're interested, click the little card that's there showing up later, probably tomorrow or the next day, and you guys can find that. Okay, any comments or questions before I let you go? Gary says there's one place in Kings where it says they are written instead of are they not written? Nice. Interesting tidbit there, Gary. Very cool. I wonder if the Masorah documents that. Sometimes when you have an expression that only shows up one time, the actual scribal notes on the ancient scrolls will say, this phrase only occurs here. That's really cool. So they were also very interested in these kind of pragmatic and specific, not trivia, but countings of phrases or words or something. Okay, guys, I'll just read through it one more time and then we'll be done. This time at a normal speed. Veyeter kol divrei asa v'chol gevurato v'chol asher asa v'ha'arim asher bana halo hema chetovim al sefer divrei hayamim v'malchei Yehudah rak la'ait ziknato chala et raglav. Okay. Luke says, why don't you study Talmud Yerushalmi as much as Bavli? Because it's incomplete. Yeah, it's a good question. Talmud Yerushalmi and in the Babylonian Talmud, they have the same information for the most part. There's not a whole lot in Jerusalem that's not in Bavli. And Jerusalem most of what we have, it's concerned with the agriculture and the land for the most part. I mean, the whole Talmud, you pick a topic, you're reading Kiddushin, you think it's about marriages, and it's going to talk about whatever. If an accident happens and this happens to the guy, it's not all about that. That's like the general topic. But the sages, they'll wander all around, right? So first off, most of what's in Jerusalem is also in Bavli, but Bavli's got more, right? So also the scribal methods were a bit better for those who lived in ancient Babylon for retaining the writing. So it's not like these are two competing teachings. It's not like, oh, Jerusalem, that's where the gold is. Nothing like that. Bavli is more complete. The community in exile used it. It was the transmission was done better. So it's not that like Jerusalem is less authoritative or anything, but the bulk of Jerusalem deals with issues in the land of Israel as well, right? Where it's been a couple thousand years since we were the majority in the land, where we are now, Am Yisrael Chai, Avinu Chai. But for a long time, the contents of Bavli really is what, and Bavli really is the superior work. I mean, it's the referencing is better, and like I said, there's a lot of duplication. A lot of stuff that's in Jerusalem is also in Bavli. That's a good question. Thanks for asking about that. The Jewish scholars do study, and rabbis will occasionally reference it too, right? Especially if they find something there that's not in Bavli. But it's not like there's something hidden in Jerusalem that's where the gold is, and we don't have it in Bavli or something like that. Good question. Good question. Thanks for asking that. Raphael says, does the question marker hey always have that nikud? No, good question. It does not. So this is the most common marking for it. He's asking about the hey interrogative here on 23b. 1 Kings 15:23b. There's a hey, and it's got a chatuf patoch. That's the two dots and the patach there, right? Or maybe you see it this way. That is the normal marking. That is the most common way you see it. But depending on where the accent is in the word, in this case, we have the makef is connecting lo and hema, so it's like a compound word. The ancients would have read it lo hema. They wouldn't have said lo hema like I did, or even a cantor today would say lo ha lo hema. They'd say halo hema. You see, like it's one word, right? So that accent is drifting further away, and usually the accent is at the end in Hebrew. That's the preferred. It's the opposite of English. In English, we prefer the accent at the beginning of the word, in that case, beginning, right? But like most words in English, it'll be at the beginning. Most words in Hebrew, it's at the end. And so usually you're going to have that reduced vowel, the chat of patach that Raphael is asking about there. Good question. Sometimes it's a patach, just a normal patach. And you'll see it that way, which is just a little bit longer. So the chat of patach that we have here, it's a half vowel. The patach is a short vowel. So you'll see it with a patach also. Yeah, nice question. There are a few places I've seen it unpointed even, so I'm not sure what that's about, but for some reason it was maybe the tradition was to say it without, but then the scribe knew to write it with, or I'm not sure. Good question. Shalom Troy. You're very welcome, Harrison. Raphael says, and the Gemara of Bavli was redacted enough to make the grammar legible. Yeah, good question. Yeah, really, it was transferred much better, and you're right. They've really part of the transmission was making it so people could understand what the heck it says. Yeah, that Jerusalem is a lot rougher. It's just a lot rougher. Yeah, very, very good point. Okay, if that's all, I will see you guys tomorrow as we get into Koheleth, our wisdom literature. Looking forward to seeing it. Make sure to get your matzah. Load up on matzah already so that you don't have to buy it at 10 times the cost the day before Pesach. I will catch you guys later. We usually make our own, but we don't have an oven this year. So we're like scrambling for matzah, my own family now too. Like should have ordered back in December. Duh. So anyway. All right, be well. Shalom, shalom. I will see you guys later. And thank you so much for all of you, especially our monthly supporters.